Hey Tamers, what's going on? It's me, a guy whose wallet is in shambles after having to buy 3 secret rare Examons. You know, it's sadder when I say it out loud, actually. So we're pretty deep into the EX3 meta over here on the JP side of the game, and I've been looking over the decks that have topped at events over the past couple of weeks, and when looking at the results, not as a whole, cumulative whole, but as a week-by-week basis, I found the results actually pretty interesting. And so what I thought I would do is share those with you guys and update you guys periodically on how things are progressing and how the meta is shifting from week to week. So before I share this information, just kind of keep in mind that this information is only for the first week, and it includes events not only in Japan, but also in Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, basically wherever the JP side of the game is played, and I could find actual tournament results for those. So actually looking over the deck list and the amount of times that they've topped over the first week of the meta, I think it's important to note that week 1 is always going to be really fluid, really open. People are going to be just trying stuff, and so sometimes you might see some decks that might surprise you. And I think this list does include some of those things. Before we do get into those things, I think there are a few takeaways that I want to note, and the first one being very obvious. Crossheart's still very strong. People still running Crossheart to great success. It is a very powerful deck. Cards like Sunrise Buster really enable to do everything on a single turn, and that continues here in the EX3 meta. Another thing I think you can divine from this list is that the 2 decks right after Crossheart, literally right under Crossheart, are Lynx Dragon and Examon. And it's really funny because there's a duality of your wallet. Lynx Dragon is probably one of the cheapest decks in the meta to build, and Examon is one of the most expensive. So it's kind of funny that you can run either one of those decks, whether you want to invest heavily or not, and see great success with those. So I think there's a little bit of something for everybody, and people don't feel locked out of like a wallet meta. Another important point is that EX3 giving support to lots of old archetypes to bring them back up to current standards, as well as introducing brand new archetypes means that we're going to see a ton of decks, both old and new. For example, we see the Bloom Lord come back to prominence with the new Hydramon. We still see the Mastamon doing well, interestingly enough. We've got the Imperial Dramon, Purple Black, as well as Chaos Dramon doing really well here. Most of these builds are going to be running like a Mugen Dramon focused, so it's a Mugen Dramon and Chaos Dramon together here. And then, yeah, lots of old decks here. We've got Yellow Hybrids, Security Control doing well, Blue Flare still up there. Surprisingly, though, Dukemon kind of comes out of nowhere. Dukemon got a little bit of support, and I didn't think it was going to be that influential, but it seems like the deck is taking a couple of wins, which is good. Also, super surprised. Only a single win, but Beelzemon doing really well, as well as Gabumon coming back to prominence after God knows how long. Something really promising about these results so far. Again, it is week 1, but the thing that I really like is that it seems like if you play virtually any color, there's a deck for you somewhere out there. So no matter, if you're a green stan, a blue stan, a red stan, maybe you're a multicolor stand, whatever, there's something for you out there to play. I also want to talk a little bit about some of the deck builds that I thought were interesting, or I thought were pretty consistent among the results, that I think you could say that this is probably going to be a good core for the deck. And the first one we're going to take a look at is actually the Lynx Dragons one. So of course they're all trying to find the Hina Tamers and play them as quickly as possible. The deck has a lot of draw. You see the Digimon engine for the eggs with the promo Guidamon, allowing them to draw 3 cards on a swing. A lot of the low-level cards also lets you search through the deck, and then once you get to the upper-level cards, you're doing things like clearing the board, de-digivolving, and then wiping stuff out, and then preventing your opponent from making big plays using either the Metallic Dramon or the Volcanic Dramon. What I really like about this deck is that it includes 2 copies of Dorbeckmon. Dorbeckmon is kind of like the game finisher card for EX3. Basically, you take 5 different cards with dragons somewhere in their trait, and you can just stick them up under him. He becomes 3 cost, and he can attack immediately. He also clears whenever you play him, depending on how many of those dragon type cards you have in his sources. And finally, as a good measure of control, you have the 1 copy of the Dexmon. Bloomwood's got to stay in check somehow, and he's the way to do that. Looking over at another deck, we've got Examon this time. Examon is one of those decks, one of those rare times in Digimon where you have to run 4 copies of a secret rare in the deck, and Examon is pretty pricey, so if you can find a couple, get them while you can. If you can't, maybe Lynx Dragon is the deck for you. So the deck is wholly set up to search out the pieces for Examon, using Davis to grab multiple copies of blue and green cards that you need in the deck, as well as assembling your pieces for your Wing Dramon, your Ground Dramon, getting your Slayer Dramon in hand as well. And then once you get a blue or green Digimon out there, you can just slam down the other color hard for like 7 memory, joggers into Examon, and then play a Slayermon and control the board. Really interesting little tech in this deck is the 4 copies of the Bulkomon, allowing you to draw 2 cards on a security check. And things like that, along with the Dracomons for search, the old core Dramons for search as well in play for the security effect. It's just really good. The deck becomes really quick and allows you to assemble your pieces quite fast. And the last deck that I want to take a look at really quickly today is going to be the Dukemon build that's kind of popped up in some of the results. What I like about this build is that it utilizes some of the new cards, using some of the old cards that didn't really see play. For example, I think the initial versions of this deck didn't really include the Kudamon very much. But now with the inclusion of the new Growlmon allowing you to destroy Digimon and gain security attack, Kudamon is fantastic for just getting the memory and the card draw early on, and then later on when you want to close out the game or make big swings, you can sacrifice it to get that security attack +1. I will say one thing that really seems unsettled about the deck list right now is that it seems that the level 6s are a little bit undecided. You can see there's 3 different types of level 6s. That's pretty rare, I think, for a lot of decks. So you usually see 1 kind of level 6 or maybe 2 at the most. But in this case, it seems like they really can't make up their mind about which Dukemon they want to use. Personally, I like the utility of the old Dukemon with some of the new cards that let you trash cards in both your and your opponent's decks. The old Dukemon allowing you to basically trash the security whenever your opponent has 10 cards in their trash and you attack. Outside of that, I'm really interested to see what other people can develop with the level 6s for this deck though. Alright, so those are the week 1 meta results. A little bit of information about some of the decks that we've seen as well. Let me know what your thoughts in the comments below. Is there anything that surprised you? Is there anything that you kind of knew was going to be there? Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button as well as the subscribe button to see more of this information in the coming weeks. And I'll catch you guys next time.